So, we are the second group from Duchy College in Stoke-on-Trent. I'm in Mitchell, Becky Wood, and we've also got Luke Pavlo and Tom Gardner as well. This is the Park Farm. It's a 280-acre family-run beef, sheep and arable farm located in the Cornwall Valley. We've been asked to investigate the energy consumption and the possibility of installing a biomass boiler to heat the main 5-bed farmhouse and 3 South Catering holiday cottages. There's currently 10 acres of miscampus growing on the farm, which is what the desired field would be. This is an aerial photograph of the farm. This is another one is the farmhouse. These are the holiday cottages, which are opposite. This is where the miscampus for the boiler would be stored. And this is the proposed site for where the boiler would go. This picture shows you where energy and heat is lost through the surrounding environment, through doors and windows. The holiday cottages have low rate loft insulation at the moment. We proposed a fiberglass installation and a depth of up to 270 millimetres would reduce the heat loss. There's also other barns that could be possibly converted. The current heating at the moment is done through electric radiators and immersion heaters with light storage heater tanks. The boiler would provide a sustainable energy source for these heaters and completely eliminate the need for electricity heating in this way. The holiday cottages and the farmhouse use 2/3 of the energy, with the remaining third being used by the farm. It costs the farm around £5,000 a year just on electricity. Installing the biomass boiler will significantly reduce this expenditure by making the immersion heaters redundant. The vast amount of electricity used could also be changed to a different tariff to reduce costs.
Boilers themselves. From our research, we found a company called Farm 2000. The boilers are designed for hot water systems, central heating or warm air systems. The boilers themselves are considered CO2 neutral, as almost the same amount of CO2 is absorbed during the time the biomass crop is growing as is emitted during combustion. We have chosen to use a boiler called the Big Bale boiler, and it's the biggest one they do, and it will be most suitable for the farm. The boiler is designed for domestic heating situations when low stoking rates are required, or for agricultural heating systems when a higher output is needed at a lower price. There are different models of Big Bale boiler itself. So first we had to work out how much energy would be needed. So we were given some data, and from that data we managed to work out that the farm itself used just over 95 kilowatts per day on heating, which then we referred back to the chart we were given by Farm 2000. The cheapest model of boiler we could find to give enough energy to supply the farm with heat is highlighted in yellow. The price of this boiler is £14,863 plus VAT, which would take 8.5 years to pay back. Once the boiler is installed, it would have installation costs. There's also a chimney would have to be fitted, and then there's new plumbing for the holiday cottages and into the farmhouse, which we estimated as an extra £10,000. The boiler we've estimated we need 550 bales of Mecanthus or any other crop that might have to be sourced until we have enough. But until the boilers run for a full 12 months, we do not have an accurate number of how many bales would be needed. By using a quote from boilerjuice.com on the 17th of March, we managed to calculate that the total payback time for the full system, the boiler, the installation, the chimney, will be 13.5 years.
So this is just a brief overview so far. So Martin, Mr. Howlett's got a farm size of 280 acres. He's got at the moment 10 acres, which will produce what we've estimated for last year's harvest to be 100 bales. You need an additional 45 acres to bring his total acreage up to 55, which which would produce 500 bales, and this is done on a rate that is stoked twice in the winter and once through the summer months. Due to the nature of the scampus, its yield will increase as it's cut, so the second and third years he'd be able to reduce the size of the plantation to about 50 acres, which would in time give him about 550 bales. Alternatively, as it might be possible to plant all 55 acres because the farm is being in a chocolate size site, and so there's regulations on what you can and can't plant. Straw would be a feasible substitute to use as boilers are designed to burn other things, such as straw and wood chip. This is the proposed site boiler, which at the moment is just like an old shed. There was a long part of the site there. It's located to the north of the holiday cottages, which you can see on here. Here's the Hillwood barn where the star is, and the holiday cottages are just here. So we propose that to plumb it all in to the cottages, you could run it through the roof space, which would eliminate him having to dig up his concrete yard, which is going to cost extra money. Also, running it through the roof space, it's going to insulate the pipes better, so there'll be less heat loss to the ground. And then it would have to come across here, like you have to dig up a bit of the concrete to connect it up to the farmhouse. Quite well, you'll be able to stoke the boiler. It's quite easy access. It's got a track here, which is the main yard. So this lane here, it's wide enough that if you put the boiler in a square, you'll be able to get around with the tractor to stoke it. And additional costs would be maybe new block work and a different roof on it, perhaps a secure door if you felt the need to put on the shed. Just to recap what we're doing. Well, what we propose is that the green line shows where the plumbing could go. We need 55 acres to plant up this campus. In total, with all the installations, the total for we need to pay for the boiler and how much it's going to cost them to plant and harvest this campus, it's going to take about 13 years to pay back together. Thank you very much. Martin, here.
Yeah, indeed.
Hello, Martin. I just wondered if you had a question.
Thanks very much indeed anyway to the college for taking part in the project, and certainly a very professional presentation there. I think one of the things that first struck me, and you quite rightly identified, that we do have the existing crop on the farm in this campus, elephant grass, for those of you who haven't perhaps come across the crop before. It's a renewable crop that has a lifespan of about 20 years and gradually will increase, as the students have just said. And it's interesting, the question will come in a minute, but it's interesting in comparing it with the National Trust presentation a while ago, that clearly for their holiday cottages they were using a much smaller acreage and possibly looking at short rotation coppice or other forms of biomass. I wonder whether Miss Campus is perhaps as efficient as a wood chip type style. But realistically, the question I would have is, because clearly from that point of view, having 50 acres to plant, you're quite right, we are in an area of excellent natural beauty. There are restrictions. We have to have an impact assessment where we can and can't plant in this campus. So to plant 50 acres would be a big ask. So realistically, I think we would have to look at it on a smaller scale. Perhaps that's recognising what the National Trust might be doing in their project. However, the question I really want to ask is, when you've looked at the payback time, clearly that is, if that's the reality, that's very much a filter in what the government and indeed initiatives that have been put, other presentations have mentioned, is that they are talking about payback time when you go for a grant funding scheme, that the current project that's being put together by government at the moment being offered, that has been mentioned, says that they will only give a loan for 5 years and it should pay itself back in 5 years. Now clearly 5 years is very different to 13 years that you've mentioned, and I just wonder whether the figures, not your figures, but somehow the two figures are not matching up, because clearly that's a big commitment